Forever. Dog.
Hey, have y'all ever like interacted with like the supernatural or like a ghost or anything like that? You ever had that happen to y'all?
I don't think I've interacted with a ghost. I do believe in ghosts, though.
The way Bray said no was like... Bray said no, like, of course not.
She's like, no.
People...
I know, people believe in it.
There are times that people believe... When I was a kid... Now, granted, I was a kid, but my uncle would tell stories about, like, a man with a pig face that lived in the woods.
Wow. Listen.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, I believe in ghosts. So, like, I feel like random adults saying adults don't just bring up ghosts. So if we were ever out and one of y'all came back and said, hey, nigga, I just saw something in the hallway, you don't have to worry about convincing me. Because I trusted y'all same people. And if you came to me and was like, hey, nigga, there's a ghost in the hallway, it's time to strap up and get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always hate in the movies, in real life, people are like, there's no such thing. Next thing you know, 5 people got to die. They're like, it's ghosts. Yeah, nigga, he told you. Sorry, go ahead about your pig face, dude.
I mean, but I agree with you though. Like, I feel like I don't. It was scary. He would take us through the woods and like go to different. I remember there was like a structure that used to exist. So there were like, you know, like bricks that like were barely. It was like barely a wall now. You know, like barely a chimney. And he would like take us there and then tell stories of like, yeah, this is where the pig bones.
This is awful.
I know it was scary and fun though. It was like fun and like I don't believe, you know. Obviously, I know that he was just trying to like rile us, and that was fun. But I think that like because of that, I like agree with you, Jerah. Like if somebody was like, "It's ghosts in the next room," I'd be like, "All right, I'm out. We're done. Whatever we need to do."
I mean, it's just, you know what it is. I feel like everyone knows how insane you will sound if you say you saw a ghost or an alien. So if someone is coming to you being like, hey, I know this is crazy, I saw a ghost, then I'm like, well shit, I'd rather be prepared than to be like, nah, I don't believe you. Then I go outside and there's a big ass zombie thing right here and then I'm eating. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get ate by no goddamn zombie when the person told me. Could you imagine if that person was Bray and then all of a sudden a zombie bit your leg and he'll be around the corner? I told you they were zombies. I cannot go out like that. I cannot have that be. I cannot have that be how I go out.
Oh man, sorry, I'm slightly distracted. I was just checking the scores to this NFL. You guys, the NFL is on. So sorry. What were we talking about?
Oh yeah, it's on. They're doing it.
Yeah.
We were just
this is really a good game. Detroit versus New Orleans. You also got the Vampires versus the Bronx.
Wow.
Wait, how did he wait? Did he
so what he did was he said that there's sports happening and then he named
No, the NFL is on. Yeah. No, the Detroit Lions are versing the New Orleans Saints right now. You also have Vampires versus the Bronx. That game's 14-7.
So is the Bronx the mascot?
The Bronx is down 14-7.
So who are the Vampires? Like who's there? Like
what
where are they
team
from?
do they play? What do they? I mean, what?
Yeah, what city is it?
Where are they from?
Oh, they actually don't have a city. They're in the process of moving. So it's just Vampires versus the Bronx.
Okay, don't just start saying the plot of the movie.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
that was sad.
Let's start the show.
Jonathan Braylock, James III, Jerah, Milligan.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
Black men can't jump.
In Hollywood.
Black actors, man. Black actors. All right.
Welcome to Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood.
Hollywood City.
Little bitches took my Sprite.
Oh, that was a good line.
The best line in the movie.
Also, I love how quickly he found that the Sprite was missing.
I thought we were going to get a little more from him, but that line was worth it.
Yeah.
This was also made by Broadway Video. I was thinking we could have been talking about SNL in the cold open, but
we could have. But we'll talk about it in this.
We'll talk about it now
in this episode. I'm glad we talked about Pigman.
Listen, someone else probably has heard the story of Pigman or Pigface.
Yeah, what did I say? I don't even remember.
You said it was a dude with a face.
I feel like that. Isn't there a Twilight Zone episode where people have pig faces?
It is.
Yes,
Eye of the Beholder. It's a really good episode, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. They wasn't in the woods, you know.
I mean,
with pig
Professor Pig on Batman, like he has a pig face. Professor Pig.
That sounds gross.
Yeah. Thank y'all for understanding.
We got you. No, but this movie, anyway. Vampire versus the Bronx, BX. I used to stay in the Bronx, so I felt very drawn to this movie.
Oh.
No one else? Nobody? No, okay. All right. Okay, somebody
Bronx.
did it at home.
I'm from Harlem, but Harlem's pretty close, you know. It's only a couple D train stops away. Yankee Stadium's there. Yankee Stadium always was going there as a kid. Listen, what I'm trying to talk about now, though, is the fact that my name is Jonathan Braylock.
I'm Jerah Milligan.
And I'm James III.
He's happy. Don't mind him. We are a film review podcast. We review films of leading black actors. We talk about them in the context of race and diversity in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And as Jerah very elegantly said, we are reviewing the film Vampires vs. the Bronx, which is on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie.
Boop, boop. Sorry. It just feels natural.
Feels natural. Okay, so this movie was directed and written by Osmani Rodriguez. Is that how you say his name? Oz Rodriguez. All right. I'm trying to get these kids' names because they put the other people first. You know.
Bullshit.
Where are these kids?
Well, they're, you know.
Gregory Rodriguez.
These kids were great.
Coco Jones. Who is
Jaden Micheal?
Okay, that's who it is.
Jaden Micheal. Sorry, Jaden Micheal.
Jaden Micheal,
my fault. Jaden Micheal.
And
then we got the boy Kid Mero in this job.
Well, yes, Kid Mero's in it. Zoe Saldana makes a cameo in the beginning of the movie, which I kept looking at her and I was like so confused because she looks so young. Like I swear she looks like she has gotten younger.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that looks like Zoe Saldana, but it's not, right? Like, who is this? But it is her. I don't understand. Did she not look like she was like 28?
It was crazy that it looked like they plucked her from Drumline. Like it was just her from that time.
But also, how often do we see her not a different color? Like, how often do we see her not?
Yeah, that
green,
was also what was odd
blue.
about it. I was like, oh shit, she's not.
You know
Gerald Jones III.
Hey, the third.
Kid.
Hey, time to break up with your old wireless provider and time to get in a deep, loving, and true relationship with Mint Mobile. Was that too sexy? I'm sorry.
Disturbing. Hi, everyone. This is Lindsay and Kelly from the Teen Creeps podcast, and we want to let you know that Mint Mobile is introducing their unlimited data plan for just $30 a month.
Let that sink in. An unlimited plan for $30.
How much is your soon-to-be ex-wireless provider charging you right now?
Listen, the last provider that I was using outside of Mint, I'm not going to say their name because they're dead to me.
No.
I was paying $90 a month, and I didn't even have unlimited data.
Yeah, I didn't either. I had like 10 gigs, and I was paying like 90 something, 94 maybe.
Yeah, and this is like so much cheaper, and I haven't noticed any difference in my coverage.
No, they use all the same cell towers. It's great.
For people that hate their phone bill and are just ready to cut ties with big wireless, Mint Mobile offers their premium unlimited plan for just $30 a month.
By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings on to you.
All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts.
Dude, also switching over your SIM card is not that scary.
It's like a phone Allen wrench.
Yeah.
And you stick it in the little hole on the side and it pops out and it's tiny and cute. And the first time I saw it, I was like, oh.
I know. And I was really scared, but it literally took like under 5 minutes and then I was switched over to Mint Mobile. So it was very pain-free.
And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee.
Break up with big wireless and switch to Mint Mobile's premium unlimited data plan for $30 a month.
And make sure to check out the Ultimate YA Pulp Fiction podcast, our podcast, Teen Creeps, every Wednesday right here on Forever Dog.
To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $30 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Hollywood.
That's mintmobile.com/Hollywood.
Hi, Forever Dog listeners. It's Meatball and Big Dipper.
That's right, I'm here too. So this year, we have seen what staying silent can do. Oof. Woof. And right now, you have an unprecedented opportunity to speak up. We all do. So make sure to cast your vote and be heard this November.
It's never too early to register to vote, but it might be too late before you know it.
Right, so we want to help make it easy for you to register and have a plan for November 3rd, or before if you're doing early voting as an option in your state.
Yes, Queen, please do.
Right, it's important to vote so that your country can finally reflect your values.
So go to foreverdogpodcast.com/vote to register. Check on your registration often and learn how to fill out your ballot.
That's right. If you haven't registered to vote yet, this is a really easy way to do it. And it feels like it's not outside your comfort zone because you love podcasts, you listen to our podcast, and you can do it very easily at foreverdogpodcast.com/vote. And remember, each state is different, so make sure you are following your local rules and regulations for where you register to vote.
Yeah, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And make sure to vote because there's a demon in the office.
Hey everyone, we're Mike,
Scott, and Jason from Podcast The Ride. On our podcast, we discuss the world of theme parks and themed entertainment,
animatronic bears,
fake rock work, the logistics of theme park parking garages.
So please check out and subscribe to Podcast The Ride only on the Forever Dog Podcast Network.
New episodes every Friday.
Okay, can I be real about this?
Please.
Go ahead, brother. Be real.
I mean, we're going to get into our initial thoughts and everything. Oh, and I should say that it has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's no box office, obviously. It's a Netflix movie. I don't really know how much Netflix is pushing this because I didn't know about it until you guys told me. I had to look for it.
I mean, but you also forgot it has the METHOD man. That's how I knew how to spell Method Man back in the day. I always would just rap.
Oh yeah, Method Man's in this too. Chris Redd, Sudi. Did you guys catch Sudi?
Yeah, Sudi Green. That's how I knew this was an SNL movie when I saw her.
That was fun.
I was like,
okay, I couldn't help but think while we were watching this movie, I was like, yo, this is the Black Man Can't Jump crew. We got
it is.
I was like, hilarious. Yo, we got
the 3
Miguel,
kids,
Bobby, and Lewis. Like, this is me, Jerah, and James.
That's hilarious.
Like,
this literally never occurred to me.
Never.
Dude, I was watching it. I was like, yo, this is our dynamic. Like, it really is.
Yo, honestly, it is. Yo, I never thought of that.
It is so our dynamic.
Okay, so we know it's possible. We know it can happen.
Lewis keeps being like,
Yes.
guys, we're friends.
Yes.
And Miguel's trying to be the leader, but you're like, dude, what are you doing? You're so dumb. You're like doing these dumb decisions. And Bobby's out here just like trying to keep it real. Doesn't know, he's going. I don't know.
So real. Honestly, you know what? Next time we pitch a movie, we got to be like, hey, y'all see?
It's like Vampires versus the Bronx. Everything we pitch is Vampires versus the Bronx meets something else.
Yo, but it's funny because even watching this, I was like, that's so real. You said that breaks. So like all 3 of them are 3 different shades of like people of color. It was like great. It was like Miguel looked a certain kind of way. Yeah, like you had Bobby. You're right, bruh. And then we got to get a black woman friend to be
Arita.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So
that's hilarious, dog.
So shall we do initial thoughts? Oh, right. The premise of this movie, I mean, it's pretty simple from the title.
Vampires versus Bronx,
it's a group of kids. The vampires are starting to take over their neighborhood in the Bronx. And they're
How dare you say the premise is vampires versus the Bronx, period.
The logline is a group of young friends from the Bronx fight to save their neighborhood from gentrification and vampires.
Nigga, don't give me that logline. This is the title that tells me off break exactly what I'm getting. Like when I got Freddy versus Jason, what you gonna write? Yeah, it's Freddy Krueger fighting Jason. Yeah, nigga, the title said it. I knew what I got with this movie. I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm here for it. I was so hyped. I'm gonna go first. I fucking love this movie, man. Man, me and Rachel was watching this jump, and like some of this was actually our neighborhood we used to live in, like up in the Heights and in the Bronx area. And I was like, fire. I love that Mero was in this jump. Fire. I love that it was 3 brown kids, a black girl. I love that like they had homegirl doing like the Instagram live videos. Fire. Love that Method Man had all those corny ass sweaters. Fire. I love that this was about gentrification. And it was like, the thing I loved about it is that they kept saying the line, which is I feel like a line that like any person who's grown up in a certain area is like, this is the area where like if anything happens to you guys, no one will care. Like if anyone goes missing, no one would care. And sometimes that's what it feels like. And I was like, this was a really dope way to talk about gentrification. But also it was a movie that talked about like what it's like to be a person of color without just being so much about our oppression and like, you know, beating bodies. Like again, like I'm starting to have a real kind of feeling about all these movies and TV shows that just focus on the horrors that happen to people of color based on race. So the fact that this, and also all I was looking forward to before the movie started, once we saw like Miguel and them, I was like, I just want to see one of these little kids with a baseball bat beating the shit out of a vampire. I was like, I didn't know if there was gonna be a bat in it. I love that they had fucking Sammy Salsa in the joint, and they talked about Sammy, but then also talked about how Sammy looks now. You know what I mean? Like, I love that shit. I love that like these niggas was watching Blade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The Daywalker.
The fact that Blade, the scene where Miguel is just taking notes and watching Blade, I was like, no! It was so good.
Honestly, I'm so here for this movie. Also, it's so funny because now thinking about this movie through the lens of what Braylock just said of like the 3 of these kids being different versions of ourselves and having what was the other kid's character name? And having Lewis be the one who knows the facts about all the vampires and said it so casually and cavalier that I was like, this is definitely James. This is definitely James. I mean, well, guys, you do know vampires. Blah, 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 blah. I'm here for it. I'm here for this movie, dog. I'm hyped just thinking about this movie. Give these kids all the credits.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. It would really get redundant if I started going through all of the stuff that I liked.
Do it.
Do it. Just it's the same shit. I'm gonna say the same shit.
Do it.
But like I thought the movie was really fantastic. The kids were so super talented. I loved how the adults interacted with the kids. Like every different type of adult that would have a different interaction with them. Loved their relationship with the bodega owner. Yeah, I mean, it was super fun. And I most of all love that how like the ultimate where that it leads to is like you don't mess with the Bronx, you know, and like the whole neighborhood coming together and being like, you know, like I thought that was great. I mean, and this is honestly, it's the kind of movie that if this would have came out when I was a kid, would be my favorite movie today. You know, like I'd be quoting lines from it. I'd be, you know, I would watch it every Halloween for sure on repeat, but then would also probably watch it all the time throughout the year. I'm very happy that this movie is here and exists.
I will say this. It was funny because just initially watching this movie, I'm from Southeast DC, right? And I remember I was going home to visit my friends once, and my boy Ryan was driving me back to the bus so I can go to New York. And it's a sight that I will never forget. There was a blonde white woman jogging with a dog at like 9 o'clock at night, right? And this is in the area where I used to live. I used to go to school in. And it's an area that like I've been in fights. You know, I had one of my friends got robbed. And like, so I remember seeing it. I remember the sight and being like, oh shit. Like both of us were like, oh shit, something's happening. And now that particular, that might have been like, you know, 7 years ago. And now DC is having the battle of the gentrifiers coming in and calling the police on music. So now like the people who still live in DC are having like, you know, go-go bands.
Yeah.
Like having protests and trying to like, you know, disturb a little bit. Cause it's like, yo, we've lived here. Like we know these areas, blah, blah, blah. So to see this movie and kind of have everybody get bought out, something that's so funny, and maybe I'm thinking too much into it, is something about like not only having the vampires infiltrate the Bronx in a way, but also like they're giving people money, but also killing them at the same time. So they're technically not giving anybody anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have heard like even in New York in certain places, like in Brooklyn, they had this article that came out thinking, I don't know, maybe it was New York Times or Time Out, but it was with a realtor. And he was talking about how people gentrified a lot of Brooklyn. Yeah. They would just go up to the elderly people and just give them a suitcase full of money and it'd be like 60 grand. And like, we know that that's not a lot for this apartment or your brownstone or whatever, but it's like for a person who is like 70 or 80, you're showing up with like 60, 75, 80 grand. You're like, oh, this is great because it's cash, but not realizing that this is actually worth millions of dollars now.
Yeah. And it's also that like when you putting it that way of like the giving them money and then they're killing them, you know, it's like really is sort of like the perfect metaphor for what gentrification is, right? Because it's like here I'm giving you this money to remove you from your home, like the place that you know that helps inform who you are. It sort of is like, and the money is useless, right? It sort of is like it is like a death in and of itself. To take you from that is a death. There's, I mean, you know, there are levels to this, and they also a vampire, you know, sucks the life out of you, literally, you know. So it's like sucking your culture and your like it's really great parallels.
Yeah.
I'm struggling because I want to only say good things about this movie, but it's the exact premise of a comic book I wanted to adapt. Like all the beats are the same. The only thing that's different is what monster is there and what the monsters go.
Oh, really?
Literally all of the beats are the same. Like the kid with a bat, like everything is. It's called Urban Legends. And I'm struggling because this movie doesn't deserve to be shat on for being like something else that I read and wanted to do.
So now
but all the beats are the same.
Is it in the Is it in
it's like it might be in Brooklyn. That might be the difference.
Hilarious.
But it's the same a group of kids. They're all ethnically diverse. The only difference is there's a white kid in the group whose dad is the one that's doing the gentrifying. The premise is so similar. The only difference is the monsters are there in support of Brooklyn or the Bronx, wherever it is that they are. And they're, it's, anyway.
Yeah, I thought this movie was super fun and great. I mean, the reality is, I don't know about that the comic book that I don't know about that, James, but I feel like this is similar to Attack the Block, except it has this, you know, gentrification angle to it, which is cool. You know, it's one of those things where it's just like such a simple, fun movie for kids. I feel like the only thing I feel like they could have tamed it down a little bit to make it not. This is a tough one. Like I think it's PG-13, but it's like it feels like they like really inched up the PG-13, so it's like just at that cutoff point, like before. You know what I mean? Like there was like a little more cursing that I feel like was necessary, and maybe like they didn't need the violence was pretty tampered down, but I feel like it didn't need to be as scary or like didn't need to show as much as it kind of did. But otherwise, it's still like such a fun movie. It's a great Halloween family movie, you know, with this message behind it. And the kids were great. I thought all of the actors were really fun and amazing. And, you know, it's just a really fun movie. I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say.
I like this movie so much.
Yeah.
I think again, like for me, it's just, I think we talk about it on this podcast a lot. I feel like Hollywood goes through those eras of, you know, the slavery movie, which we kind of still are in, the police brutality era, which we kind of are still in. What other ways can we show how racism is like terror towards Black people, which we're still in. So to see this movie about gentrification, but have it be fun and also like have the gentrifiers defeated, even though I know that's not realistic in any way, but like have them being defeated because the neighborhood stood up and like handled it themselves. My man, his nickname is Little Mayor. You know what I mean? Like that is,
and it's great. It's great. You know, like
so
it's great
cool
when we hear a line like "We're going to wipe you out for the vermin you are." You know, to see a white man saying that to a POC, but then knowing that what he means is, you know, you humans or whatever, right? But it's like, but it has this extra weight of you know, of the racial injustice that's happening in the country. Like, they hit all of those points so well. I thought it was like so great. I mean, and even to that point that you were talking about, like when you saw the white girl jogging, like the moment when we first see the white girl and they're just like, hey, are you lost? They just assume she's lost.
And it was night. It was night.
And she's like so cheerful. It's like hilarious.
That was funny.
Man, instantly I was like, I don't trust her. It's so funny. I was like instantly, and it was like, and then Richard goes, I mean, she's probably working with him, but maybe she's like the good vampire. I was like, nope. Because she said, and I'm happy they said it in the movie. She's like, don't worry, I'm not going to call the cops. Like, I'm not that kind of person. And my man goes, the only person who says I'm not going to call the cops are people who call the cops. So I was like, yes, she's a narc. Don't trust this woman. All right. Let me that. But also, okay, Braylock has messed my head up because now I just keep seeing little versions of us and it's throwing me off. So it's hard for me to not. It's literally throwing me off. It's literally throwing me off.
So this movie starts with Zoe Saldana and she's, you know, they're kind of talking over like she's about to sell her business. Yeah, she's like, yeah, like I'll get out of here, like get this money, move to the suburbs, you know. And she's like, she's cashing out, and these people are offering her money, but of course, they don't really care about her. She's not actually going to get this opportunity because she gets killed. Yep. Which I feel like this movie's analogy, like the metaphor works so well. Like it I mean, it's so simple, but it works on every level. Like that you have these people who are literally coming to an area, sucking the lifeblood out of that area, taking it over, and getting rid of the people who live there. Like it's just 100% what gentrification is.
It tracks perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, even the fact that, like, if you think about it, you're saying, you know, they kill them, so like no one even gets the money. You know what I mean? So it's
that's the thing. It's not you're not even
anything.
getting they're not actually getting anything. Like they sell it as like, well, this is an opportunity for those people. They're gonna get their money and do whatever. But we know that they're not actually going to be able to really use that money to further anybody. They're definitely not helping out anybody else, you know. And there's going to be a way for those people to get their money back, you know. So, woof, man, it was. But yeah, that opening scene was like kind of sad. Like it was like Zoe Saldana was fun, but I kind of wanted there to be a little bit more of like, I was like, no, like, damn, did she really just die? I thought maybe she was going to come back as a vampire, but she never died. Like I was like, oh, she really is just dead.
Same.
Yeah, the whole time you're kind of wondering like who's gonna come back or is anyone gonna come back? And I also was like sort of wondering like I was like, oh, are they gonna like, will they turn one of the kids? I mean, of course, no. But I was like, that would be so interesting if they do that. If they turn one of the kids.
I also got mad that this is okay. Whatever. When Zoe was there, and also it's Zoe, and again, we've already said she looks mad young, and the fact that like the dude was kind of hitting on her, I instantly got super protective. Like, don't you dare invite this guy back to wherever you about to move. You don't know this man. You go out here, you get one of these fly ass Dominican brothers, okay? And y'all go to the fucking suburbs, okay? Like, I was so mad.
She was trying to get her swirl on, Jerah.
Hey,
no.
Wait.
No. I mean, it's so funny. Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, I was saying it's funny because the moment we see, like, after this scene when Zoe gets eaten by the vampire, is like, then we cut right to like the next morning and we see like our main kids. And Little Mare is instantly talking about the boards in her window and being like, yo, they got her too. I think his opening line is like, yo, they got her too. Thinking of like, you know, they got her to move. Yeah. Whereas like, we know they got her too. And it's just something so interesting about, I think it was smart, man. Again, like, okay, damn, people are going to make fun of me. I'm not trying to shade another gentrification movie because it's so different. But I just think how this handled, outside of the comedy, outside of the vampires, just in dialogue alone and how it was addressed, I think how this handled gentrification is how I kind of wanted Last Black Man in San Francisco to handle gentrification. Because again, it didn't put gentrification on the people who are living there. It was showing that, hey, people do move out. Yes, it's a big thing, but also it's because of money. Also it's because of like, you know, the little boy could get caught up in drug life. There's reasons why people want to move out. So that's why the mom was like, I'm about to take this money and we about to go. You know what I mean? It's like, but then at the end of the day, people love where they're from and there's something about that. And I wish that is the battle with gentrification. Like that is the battle I have with my family. Like we moved out of Southeast and moved to like PG. Like that is the battle. And I wish that other movie did that and it didn't. And I think that's because that movie was written by white dudes. So yeah, I don't know why I brought it up, but I just think it was so smart how they did it. But people were like, he always shading other movies. Yeah, because that movie's still bad to me. Sorry.
So yeah, we and then we meet Miguel. We meet Lil Mayor. He's going around town passing out flyers, trying to save his bodega. I mean, I will say, this kid is connected. Like no wonder they call him Lil Mayor. Like to host a fundraiser to save your local bodega when you're like 12 or 13 years old. Like that's insane. Like that's like he man. Is gonna be. You know what I mean? Like I wish I had that.
Oh
much,
yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? But I was thinking about. I was like, oh yeah, like. Yeah, dude, the bodega is like such a cornerstone of the community, you know? It's like it's so sad to like lose that. And to be honest, like a lot of bodegas, especially in different neighborhoods, they do close or they they have to adapt. They'll have to adapt. They'll have to buy all those stuff like that. I know this is skipping ahead, but that scene where he's like, yeah, I got the almond milk. I got kale. I got a different type of kale.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got all it. Like, yeah, we got this stuff. We got the organic. I was like, yo, this is so real. Like
oat milk. You know what I'm saying? He had the oat milk in that.
What you need? That was so funny.
Yo, but isn't that
sad?
When you think about how sad that actually is, it's like. I don't mind, like, I love the idea of, upgrading some of the things you have in your store. But to stay afloat, you now have to buy more expensive things to cater to the people who now live in your neighborhood. There's just something so fascinating about that. Like, think about all these bodega guys and ladies who, like, own these spots. The places where, like, if it's 2 a.m, you get your chopped cheese, you're having the best time of your life. And a lot of them are getting pushed out, and it's so funny, not funny, but it's so sad because one of the bodega guys, when I lived in Harlem, he moved or got pushed out, I guess. And what is in his place now is some organic coffee shop. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this sucks, dude. Like this sucks. And I remember he had a big deal because he used to have like just, you would get a little cup of coffee, but he kept saying that like now people wanted like espressos and all this other stuff. So he was trying to figure out how to do that, but it was expensive to do that. And the fact that he probably lost his shop and a coffee shop replaced it, I will just never forget. Is like, damn, there's no protection for those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sad. Also, love the black girl in here who was doing the
she was doing the Instagram the whole time.
lives. Yo, there's something about
so
that, and
funny,
I guess
dude.
it was good.
She was so good. Yeah,
it was really well. Her part was really well written, and then every time she popped up, you wanted to see her again and hear what her take on what was happening was going to be. Like,
yo, I gotta play the last line. I remember it. It was like Herb at the end is like, yeah, and to all you other future invaders. Like she just did the Bronx jump. She's like, to all you future invaders, be ready because we the Bronx.
And honestly, if they did Bronx versus werewolves, Bronx versus I would be like, absolute. Like I would be on board for.
Yeah, you're right. That actually would be great.
Any
that's actually
other
a great franchise.
Element.
Yeah, because you can add certain things in there. I wanted that last. I want that last part to be like the other ones, though. I wanted it to be with the social media stuff. I don't know. I was like, wait, why did you?
Yeah,
I was
just
shocked. Not do.
I feel like at that point,
no, because the whole movie. That's the thing you didn't know. The whole movie, she was filming the whole time. See, she had hidden hand cameras. Okay, it was all over the place, and so then she, at the end, she looked directly at one of them.
I don't know about
no,
that.
because that's part of it.
I think this was legit breaking the fourth wall. I think this was like legit. Hey, y'all niggas trying to come in here to the Bronx. Because for real, right now in the Bronx, this is like happening. And I think it was like, hey, to all y'all future motherfuckers out here, we ready.
No, I think it was hitting cameras.
Okay. All right.
But I thought she was great. Like she was so good that I was like, I want to see this. I want to see this actually in more stuff. I can't. I'm telling you, the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, oh, I wish I was a kid now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I wish I could be a kid actor. And this is so cool. You have a whole. This didn't feel. This is such a tricky thing, the way that we talk about this, but this didn't feel like a black movie. You know what I mean? This didn't feel like a movie that was like only supposed to be for black people to watch, even though it was a majority black, and Latinx cast. It was, you have Afro-Latinas, Latinos, you got black kids. I mean, like that's what this movie was, and all the white people were villains, right?
Yeah, because they all were vampires.
Except for the one who was a familiar. Yeah, because even the cops were black. So it was just like, but whenever you have that type of movie, they're like, oh, this is a black movie, but that didn't feel. It felt like this is a movie for everyone. It just has a majority black, black and brown cast, and that was so awesome to see. And these kids getting to play, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as the Goonies. It's the same thing as, any of these movies with kids and they're like taking on whatever thing in their town and they're saving the day and it's a bunch of kids who are saving the day. Like that's what this movie was. It was all those movies we grew up with where there was one token person of color, and there was always only one, and that person was never the main character. Even Stranger Things is like that. You know what I mean? It's just like, so it was so nice to see this movie where we have just such a diverse cast. Like there's so many people of color in it. And those kids got to play these parts. Like that's all I kept thinking about was like how fun it was for these kids to like do all this stuff.
The whole time, that was my main thing was like those kids are like living my dream. like they are it's if I were a kid watching this, I would I would picture, I'm them and doing all the stuff, and I would play Vampires versus the Bronx all the time. It probably would be what I would do. Like I would make my friends play. You're gonna be Lewis. You're gonna be, like I would like make everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool, but also I think maybe what Bray was sitting there, I was like, damn, man. Now it feels like we have an opportunity to tell stories that feature people of color. And I was like, fuck, I do wish I was like 13 and just starting over. Cause I'm like, cause the parts are here now, or at least like there's something to look forward to. Like, again, like I feel like once I got out of college, the only person that was like acting who was young and black was Michael B. Jordan. And he was only on Parenthood at the time. So there wasn't this influx of like, a person here or a person there, like this random movie, or like even to do this kind of comedy. So I was like jealous, but also so hyped this entire time. Like, again, like I was just looking forward the whole movie to be like, yo, when this showdown goes down, it's going to be fire. Like when the showdown happens, even when they're just watching Blade and they're all getting hype over Blade and being the Daywalker, and then the mom is like, is this what you showing him? You showing him Blade? He was like, what? And then they posted it on Instagram, them watching Blade and posting his
and they're like doing this, and you're like,
this is great, man.
Yep, this 100% looks like these kids just think they're vampires because they just saw Blade, which is so real. Like if you just saw Blade as a kid, and then you saw a bunch of white people in like goth outfits walking around, you'd be like, those dudes are vampires. Like straight up, those are vampires.
Yes.
We got to get out of here. I saw them wheeling. There were a couple of moments in this movie though that I was like, yo, why don't these cops think that it's weird that they placed a bunch of empty coffins in this like courthouse? Like even if you don't see vampires, like that's still kind of weird. Wouldn't you be like, dude, why do you have coffins in here? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, right.
Like that's a little strange.
No one cares.
But yeah, nobody cares. Man. And if every time they said something to the extent of like, yeah, we came here because we knew that nobody would care if you were missing, nobody would care about the people that are here. And you're just like, damn, like so real.
Bruh. Brooklyn. The whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, do you remember, for real, like even, I remember growing up and thinking of Bed-Stuy. The slogan to Bed-Stuy was Bed-Stuy, do or die. Like that. I remember Chris Rock specials talking about how bad Bed-Stuy was. I remember like rappers talking about it. I remember people talking about Marcy Projects. And I think about Bed-Stuy, Flatbush, Crown Heights, right? Like my friend Tony's from Crown Heights. And I remember like I used to visit him when I was in college and it wasn't gentrified yet. And it was like wild. You know what I'm saying? It was wild. And I'm like, yo, fucking Brooklyn is this movie. It's like no one gave a shit what those people. Where are they? Where are the people who lived in Bed-Stuy? You know what I'm saying? Where are the people who live in Flatbush? Where are the motherfuckers who lived in Williamsburg before Williamsburg got gentrified? Where did these people go, yo? Like, we never talk about that. I think about, again, Southeast, like, those people are gone, dog. Like, there are project buildings and people are gone. And, like, where the fuck are they? Like, how do you get people out of a building? Like, how does this work? Like, do they have, like, I guess my thing is, like, because some of these Section 8 buildings I know in DC is like, you physically can't, you're not allowed to like displace these people without a place to go because it is government housing. And I'm like, these people were up and moved out, like just straight up moved out. And I'm like, we never fucking talk. We talk about gentrification and like, yeah, it's bad. And it is bad. But people don't realize that niggas have like moved out of their house. Some of them don't just volunteer to move. Like even I did like the fact that the familiar goes to like the gang member, like, yo, we need y'all to make some noise to make people feel like it's unsafe and they should just take this deal. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing is like, I don't know, it makes me so sad because even I literally was walking around Bed-Stuy last time I was in New York and I was like, yo, this is an episode of The Girls. You know what I mean? Like that's what this is. This is an episode of Girls, or what's the other show? High Maintenance. You know what I mean? Like this is a white dude selling weed, riding around the city all free and shit. Can you think about the concept of that goddamn show? It's a white dude in Brooklyn delivering weed and having a fucking good time, yo. Like this nigga is living his best life on his bike delivering marijuana. Could you imagine telling that to a black dude back in like 92? Hey, yo, in 15 years, it's going to be white folk out there drinking.
Also, there are way
illegal,
more
nigga.
cops in the black version of that show, right? Like
Yeah.
My man's bike is gone. The first episode, my man's bike is gone. Like,
he gets jacked for the weed.
Then he gets arrested, and then he goes to jail for 20 years.
And then they're like, we're not renewing this show.
And we never see him again.
We can't do this.
Yo, that shit. I don't know why I just bought that show, but I'm thinking about all these shows that take place in Brooklyn, and it's like, you know, it makes Brooklyn feel like such. And again, this stuff is happening in the Bronx. We think about these movies about gentrification, and it's so cool. Like, people are living their best life. They're discovering who the fuck they are. It's like, yeah, but what about the nigga who got kicked out of this apartment 104 that you now live in? You know what I mean? Like your parents are probably helping you pay for. It's like, where's Rodrigo? You know what I'm saying? Where's Jamal? That shit blows me, dog. It blows me. It pisses me off to such an extent because everything is so happy and so fucking cookie cutter. And you hear about these fucking creators of the show, and it's like, oh, we don't know people to put like on the show. We don't know people of color. Like, we don't want to rest up their stories. Like, no, nigga, you're living in the place where they already were. It's like, this is the area.
I have a friend whose dad is in like construction, and he just talks about how, like, my friend talks about how it's so uncomfortable that his dad talks about gentrification like it's a good thing. But it's like, but just there are all these different so many people look at gentrification in different ways, and it's like, it's so crazy to think that, like, yeah, there are some people who it's like it's only a positive word. Like, to gentrify is only positive.
It means they can move in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, I am a part of the thought of
integration.
If the city, I'll also be like, if people would have invested in the city when minorities were still, I guess, like the majority in that city, I'd be curious to know what happens then. Because to me, it's like, again, in DC where I grew up, like, our streets, our subway, our schools didn't get fixed up until people got kicked out. And again, like, I don't know which one comes first, but I'd be very curious to see, like, before you gentrify the city, what happens when you fix up some of these buildings? What happens when, like, you actually put money into the school and, like, fucking give kids, like, I don't know, fucking really good computers?
Well,
like,
this is not a political podcast, but I will say that
you're
when
right,
you
you're
have...
right, you're right.
Oh, but it's not... Well, hold on. Wait.
Yeah, it's not.
What'd you say?
No. I said this is not
right.
a political podcast.
He's right. We do.
I'm just gonna go out there
movies,
on a limb and say, you know, when you have people, when you have integrated communities where there are varying tax brackets, you have enough resources to, you know, make the corrections that you need, but you don't kick out all the people and pool all your resources into one area so that only a certain type of demographic of person has all the resources the government can provide. But you know, this is not a political podcast.
Yeah, okay. So it's not a political.
You said government. You said government, and I feel like government is political.
Yeah, it
when
just
you
sort
say
of
government.
feels like...
Yeah, but the thing is, this is not a political podcast.
Oh,
You're
okay.
right. Because listening to you say that, Bray, and I know it's a political, and I'm going to get back about the movie, but I always think about, oh, man, it's so crazy because, you know, you can't technically stay in the neighborhood, but say, like, black people, you know, came together, built their own, like, city or town, and it was, like, thriving, and, like, you know, they said they had schools, and said they had, like, you know, law firms, and they had courthouses. I'm like, man, that would be really cool. Maybe that would be a way to go. But I was like, oh, historically, when that happens, people burn those towns to the ground, and nothing happens to them when they do it. So it's like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we can't, you know, what do we do? But this isn't a political
Wait,
podcast.
but
It just
I'm
made me
sorry,
think of,
but
like,
you know,
what
I just
happened.
feel like when we watch a movie that's about standing up for yourself and your neighborhood and your culture and your beliefs, it just feels like when we're talking about a movie like that, it just feels odd for us to just sort of deny who we are inherently, which is a political podcast, 100%. I mean, I just feel like why don't we why don't we say,
James.
you know, Black Men Can't Jump is a political podcast?
No,
and sort
James,
of
we don't talk about
embrace.
politics. We're just talking about life. We're talking about life. You know what I want to talk about? This is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Rita, who is the crush. I want to talk about Rita off break at one point, knowing all the facts about vampires, and her reasoning later on in the movie is, I'm Haitian. My grandmother has been preparing me for this since I was born.
I love that. The tracking of all of that was so great. Like when the second he was like, look, let me show you my video, I was like, you know that nigga ain't gonna be in the tape. Why are you trying to show them the video? He ain't gonna be in the tape. And then she was the only one to be like, they don't have souls. I was like, oh,
yeah,
she believes.
She knew. I just loved that it was because she was Haitian, and it was like, yeah, my grandmother been knew about this shit.
I've been preparing for this all my life.
And then when they go into the nest, and she's like, yeah, if we kill the queen, then the others will be weak and they'll die too. And then they're all like, you knew that? She's like, you knew that, right? And they don't know. And she's like, I told y'all not to be messing with this.
Yeah, I will say one of my only gripes about this movie is that we don't get to see her kill a vampire. Yes. I feel like that was a mistake. I feel like that was
especially because she has the line, now let's go kill. What did she call them? Some suckheads. Now let's go kill some suckheads. Yeah. I thought she was about to go in and just lay out 3 immediately.
I know, Buffy Vampire style. But also, I think this movie had a limited budget because
it did.
Because they show you the coffin, and it's like all these rooms have coffins, but we only saw the 5. So I thought at one point it was gonna be them in the courthouse. Yeah, like Buffy Vampire slaying like a bunch of these motherfuckers, and I was like, oh no, they only have the money for the 5. Which makes sense.
I do think it's funny because they had like the graphics of them disintegrating were pretty good, like better than Buffy. But every time any of them flew, it was straight up 80s. Like, it was straight up 80s, like, B-movie, like, vampire flying. I'm like, oh, no, this looks terrible.
It was perfect. It was perfect. They knew. They were like, there's a point in the movie.
I don't know about these white actors, too, by the way. No offense. The one dude... The familiar, he's great. He's been in a lot of stuff. We know him. But everybody else was okay. I'm serious. Everybody else was like, I was like, you could have.
They were clearly on a crane. At the end of the movie, when she's flying down the street to get him, I was like, yo, I know she's like literally on something, and I'm like, this is not okay. But it also gave it that B movie vibe. James, what are you saying? You liked it?
Well, no, I liked it because there's a point that the point when they're like, this is a straight up vampire movie, they dip into that almost intentionally, like when the vampire comes to kill my man in the bodega, the whole scene is just suddenly red for like no reason. They're just like, it's red now. I mean, obviously it's because of she cut the lights off, baby. And there's we only get the glow of like the exit signs and the bodega signs outside. So that's what the red is, but it's like it was so cheesy in the best way, I think,
Also, I loved like, because at one point I was like, yo, she's definitely a vampire, but then at one point I was like, maybe she's not. But when she comes into the bodega, the whole time I was like, y'all better not kill Mero. Y'all better not kill Mero. And then
that was a great reveal. Him dipping down, and seeing all the security camera.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And you know what it is? And they avoided a cheesy jump scare, because what I thought was going to happen, he was going to look down, see she wasn't there, and then look back up and she was going to be right there and bite him. So I love that it was like drawn out just a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought he was safe with the gold necklace though, because when she touched it, I thought...
Yeah, Tessa thought that too, and I was like, "Nah, it's too small. Like, it burned her hand, but she could still kill him."
Yeah. But it was great,
and she was the top one, so she's stronger.
Right?
Isn't that something though? So
they 100%. It was intentional. It was completely intentional.
This blonde woman was the lead.
100%.
I was 100%. Like, because once we saw it was the commander, I was like,
the biggest bad was a white woman.
Yeah, I was like, yo. And then
no, because it's true,
yo.
Not in the sense that like
you just said because it's true.
In terms of what they're talking about, like gentrification, it's like you have this person who's like, hey, like I'm here. Oh my god, like it's the Beckys, it's the what do you call those girls?
She was also like the most supportive of like oh my god, go to the block party. Like,
did you see the video that I posted on Twitter of there's a white woman who's being interviewed in South Texas by it's like an NPR interview from like 2017 apparently, but this woman they're talking about low income housing, so like affordable housing for people, and the woman and this white woman is opposing it. And they're like, oh, like, why? And she was like, well, I just feel like the people who typically live in there, like, don't have the same lifestyles. They're usually like struggling, like single moms, or like, they're like people who are struggling. And I mean, I know that sounds really bad. I don't mean it in a bad way, but like,
I hate this.
I don't think that they could be in our community. And she was like, well, what would you say about people who like don't have, who don't have the same access as you do? She was like, yeah, I hear that a lot. But like, like I'm not like a multimillionaire. Like I don't have the ability to like buy a yacht, or like a private plane. So it's just kind of like, that's how it is. And then she was like, well, what would you say about people who think you're stereotyping? She's like, oh, I'm 100% stereotyping. Yeah, I am. I know. What? And she was like, I'm 100% stereotyping, but I'm not like a racist or a bigot. It's just like, I guess I do have like kind of a stigma for the people who live in those.
Even though some of them are
like,
white?
And she's like laughing and giggling the whole time. And you're like, this person it's crazy, but that's what it is. You get that like perception of being like, I'm really nice and I want everybody to live. I just don't want, poor black and brown people in my neighborhood.
I mean, well, our president said that, when he passes that bill, we won't be able to live in certain neighborhoods anymore in the suburbs because, we're invading. This is not political. I see I almost messed up. I almost messed up.
It was perfect that I'm telling you, that was great. I love that. And what's funny is I don't know why, but I knew she was a vampire from the beginning, but I didn't know she was they kept being like, oh, Commander. And I kept going like, oh, I wonder who it is. Like, I wonder what the actor is. I thought it was like, going to be a reveal for a bigger actor. And then when it was the woman, I was like, of course it was her. Like, how did I not realize that?
Same.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. It's so unexpected. It's like, you don't expect that person because we've been trained to give so much to a pretty young white girl. Like the media's trained you to give like, oh, well, this person's innocent and sweet and they need to be protected. You know what I mean?
Yo, literally talking about that protection. At one point, after the vampire kills Mero, the kids are running because they get out of the building. They run into her on the street. She's bandaged up her hand that touched the cross, and they instantly grab her to protect her. They're like, the little Mare's like, vampires, come with us. And she's like, okay. And literally, they're running with the person who's trying to kill them because they're like, you can't. Like you just said, I've been trained to think.
They're trying to protect her. Yeah.
I got to protect you. And then I love that it was like, what's the kid's name? Is it Reggie? Is that the darker skinned kid's name?
Bobby.
Robbie. I love Bobby. Bobby. I love that he notices that she's just hovered around the door.
Dude. That was the best scene.
It was great.
I love, but also
her just being like, "Oh, it's a really pretty house." And, I love what you did over there. She kept doing things to get her to invite her in.
Yo,
that was amazing.
I loved it, but also what I love too is, to me, maybe I was thinking way too much in this movie. I love how it went from being friendly to like snapping and not giving a fuck. Like she went from like real quick to being like, oh, let me I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna kill all y'all. Like it was that quick. It was so quick.
Because at that point it like didn't matter. Like it didn't matter. We were, I think 45 minutes, maybe 50 into the movie, and it was just like, I'm tired of playing these games. I need the key. These little niggas got the key. I need the key.
And then also what's so deep about it too is that when she goes back to her familiar, she's like, did you do it? He's like, yeah, you own the building now. You can go wherever you want. It's that quick. Just bought the building. Just bought the building.
You could kick these out. You could kick them all out.
You could just get rid of all these niggas. You can go. You can go.
Enter their
he
home.
literally says, yes. He literally says you can go wherever you want. He said that you can go wherever you want. You own the building.
Yeah.
Now I did like this
damn.
Sometimes like vampire movies, but this vampire movie used the old rules. Like it was all the old staple vampire rules applied. Like inviting somebody in, no reflection, garlic, holy water crosses, Eucharist, wooden stake, obviously. And then it also had, and then it was like, I didn't even know about this. I don't know if this was new or not, but that whole like the dust, like she needed to do the dust before.
I didn't know about that.
I think that's a new thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's there. It's sort of connected to that thing of like only certain vampires or like pure bloods can turn people. So I feel like they were like using that, but like I guess to give it an extra layer.
Only pure bloods can turn somebody, right? Yeah, dude. But the way that Mero went out was sad. That was
so sad.
It was, man. I thought
he was going to get a little bit more with that bat because I was like, that bat's made of wood. Like maybe
and then when it broke, you know, you were already thinking like, oh, it's a stake now. You know, you can drive it through her. You know,
which I was thinking. I was like, oh, this is obviously going to become a stake at some point. But anyway, it's cool that I'm glad. Like I'm glad Miguel got to do it. But I thought Method Man 2 was going to have a little bit more. Like the scene with him in the church was really funny.
And then when he hits her with the cross, he's like, "Ooh, that's nasty."
Yeah, I thought he was gonna get it. I thought he was gonna be able to kill someone and maybe get killed, but it was cool. That the end was fun. I did like how they all came together.
I think if this movie had more money, we would have saw more people kill vampires.
More vampires.
We just only had 5.
More vampires.
But honestly, like. There was something nice to how small the ending was. Like seeing the whole town around the one vampire.
Yo,
like
she was beating most of them.
She was getting that work in. First off, when she walks through the thing, oh my God. I was so hyped at this part because again, I was looking forward to this big fight. And when you see Rita come up, and then when Rita comes, because you're seeing it through like the I don't know what that's called, like whatever. But you're seeing it through this thing, and then like the rest of the city comes up behind. I was like, oh shit! But then to see the blonde white woman be like, I don't give a fuck, and just turn around and starts walking out slow and be like, all right, we in it. And now everybody just in it, and then the two black girls are walking by just talking shit about somebody else. They walking by talking shit, and then they're like, hey. And they're like, what the fuck is this bitch? And I was like, yo, I'm so here for this.
When they were calling them, trying to get them to come to the site, they didn't know the whole time. I was dying.
Also, those girls were mad funny because they was coming at Lil Mare the whole time. At first, his mom said his underwear dirty, and now like they was going at this.
Yo, from the side, they were just like, hey, Kendra.
And they just going in on somebody random, yo. Like, I think they say a random ass name of a person we have never met. We have never met.
That was funny.
This bitch? I was
that
like,
Chris Red joke in the trailer was also funny too, where he was like, "Dog, you being mad vague, like keep your eyes open." It's like, what does that even mean?
Yo, also at one point you realize they're making mistakes, but they took these niggas' chairs. So, hey man, a chance, and these niggas just breaking the chairs apart in the alley.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yo, look, man, I'm here for this movie. I'm happy they won. Like, I love that. Yeah. Like, you know, she tried to turn Bobby, you know, but she couldn't. You know, that's also fuck shit. She couldn't turn my man because the Bronx can't be turned into vampires, y'all. That's what they're trying to tell you. Okay, she threw that little dust on him. She tried to throw that dust on him. Vampires? Yeah, they fuck that. None of that. But also. Honestly, man, I'm just so happy. I think I went from like being jealous that I wasn't a kid to be able to make this movie, but just so happy because like little like black and brown kids got to make this movie, dog. Like
sincerely, I hope my little cousin sees this. My little cousin. I hope my nephew sees this movie and it emboldens him to do whatever he wants to do in his life.
It's so cool because this, like Braylock was saying earlier, like this is the movie. Like, if this were white kids, they would be trying to protect the suburbs in some kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, not in our neighborhood or some bullshit like that. Whereas, like, whereas like our neighborhood was the fucking Bronx, dog. Like, I am so excited. And you know what? I will say this. You know, Oz. I'm happy he did it, but also I know there's a lot of discussion right now, especially because I think. A couple white directors, like one's directing a movie about like a Asian pianist or something like that. I do think there is a nuance when a person of color directs a movie about people of color. I think it's a nuance that you just sometimes lose, or even if it's time to write it. And in this movie, like just the jokes and just how each character went, and even that ending. I gotta find the ending of that movie right now because I just think it's so beautiful to me. You future invaders. That shit was so hard. So I'm here for it. You know what I mean? I ain't thinking Hollywood. I'm thinking the Bronx for this junk.
Okay.
Thinking the Bronx. I'm sorry, that movie made me so happy, yo. It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Like that's how Three Ninjas, dog. Like you know what I'm saying? Like Braylock started this podcast saying these three kids are different versions of us. How often can we say in a movie that one, the characters feel like us, but also there are enough black and brown characters in a movie for us all to feel like we're in the same fucking movie? We've been doing this podcast for like 6 years.
They all had character arcs. Like, I mean, not just like, you know, 3-dimensional characters. They all got to have their own like storylines and their own little arcs. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like Miguel with like figuring out like how to lead and how to bring everybody together. You had Bobby, you know, who had this kind of moral dilemma choice to make, and then chooses to like stick with his friends, even though his friends
the speech
did
he
at some
gives
point
to the
betray him.
dude at the end of like, man, you're gonna be their bitch forever. Like that was
great. Yeah, and even Lewis,
I
think Lewis is the other kid's name.
Like,
you know, he was like scared the whole time, like he was afraid or whatever, and then he winds up being the baddest one of them all. He took out a vampire by himself.
Yeah.
Yes. And was proud too.
Broke his skateboard.
Yeah.
Was proud.
Jammed it into.
My
also,
man
when he had the garlic, when he had the powdered garlic in his pocket, I was like, oh, with the powdered garlic.
And he popped that Eucharist in that dude's mouth, and he was like, "Body of Christ."
Just melt that dude's face.
I wanted him to have. I feel like I wanted him to have. He said "body of Christ," but I was like, oh, there could have been a cooler line there. I don't know what it was, but I feel like,
man, I think "body of Christ" is it. You can't throw "body of Christ" and then just melt a vampire's face.
Body of Christ.
I was here for it. I was here for it, man. And they killed those vampires quick. Like, I was here, man. My man climbed up the thing, stabbed that dude, and I was like, oh, we starting. Yeah. So I was so happy with this movie, man.
That's so cool. And Blade, dude, they were looking up to Blade. That's who I dressed up as.
Wait, Bray, you did what happened up?
No.
Bray, what you do?
You know, I wore a leather jacket and I wore some shades.
Okay. So you dressed
up
as
as Blade.
After the first Blade or the second Blade?
It was Blade Trinity.
Yeah, it was after it was after Blade Trinity. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to. That's when I saw the movies. I wasn't allowed to see the Blade when it first came out.
You're right.
And then I saw them all. And I was like, Blade!
Blade was started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I said it. Blade 1 did it. Come at me.
You're not the only one to say this. Like, doesn't Marvel?
Marvel. No. Marvel be talking about X-Men. Marvel talks about X-Men. And I'm talking about Blade.
Without Blade.
Blade 1.
Yeah, without Blade, there would be no
comic book movies.
None of this.
Meteor Man, nigga. What about Meteor Man?
Well, that's not. That doesn't have anything to do.
He's not Marvel.
That doesn't have anything to do with specifically what we're talking about.
Didn't he get picked up by like Marvel or DC, Meteor Man?
Did he?
I'm on a tangent. I'm going to look it up. Folks, not only do we have a sponsor, but I am sitting in our sponsor's product right now.
Oh, you talking about Yogi Bo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, man, this comfortable chair. All right, let me tell y'all something, okay? I'm doing the podcast from it. I have a whole setup. I'm sitting in the middle, so my back is arched, my legs are up, my pillow is on my lap, and I have my laptop looking at y'all fine people. I feel super relaxed right now.
Yeah, because it's been tough. I mean, you know, we all been sitting at home for months. It's been tough to get comfortable.
And these patented beanbag chairs are made with insanely durable cotton blend. I was freaked out because I was like, man, is the dog going to like try to tear this up? I saw her nibbling at it. Nothing happened. Yo,
that's durability.
They got interchangeable covers. It's removable and washable. I mean, you can even put these things outdoors if you want. You know what I mean? Grab yourself a beer, soak it in the sun, and just go to town. You know what I mean?
Yogibo has helped millions around the world feel more relaxed and concentrate better by providing a sensory experience like no other. Yogibo is the #1 brand of bead bags in the world, with over 150 stores converting millions into true believers with its insanely comfortable products over the past decade.
The furniture is lightweight and easy to move, yet incredibly durable, so everybody in your family can use them. There are colors and patterns to match any room in your house. Hey, you got excitable kids? They got bright colors for that. You got a mopey team? They got muted colors for that, as well as luxury patterns and licensed collections.
Ooh, they also got multi-person seating. They got some love seats. They got sectionals. There's something for everybody at Yogibo. All right, come on and discover the feel, baby.
You can get 15% off with the exclusive podcast code Hollywood at www.yogibo.com. That's 15% off with the exclusive podcast code Hollywood, www.yogibo.com. Lock your color in today.
I got my toes up. I'm relaxing this junk so good.
I got my toes up.
All right. Well, okay. So, James, do you have anything to say?
The only thing I have to say is I don't do bits no more.
Okay. All right.
Why are you yelling that?
Just want to make sure everybody knows. Your boy doesn't do bits. I'm a bitless man.
And just so we all know factually, Meteor Man became a part of the Marvel Comics in 1993.
But is Meteor Man still in the MCU, or did Marvel release some Meteor Man comics?
Come on, man. Why you gotta ask me these questions that's gonna make me like discredit Meteor Man?
It's not a discrediting. What?
Look, man, like he had a couple releases, all right? Maybe he's not a part of the Marvel comic universe, but he had a Marvel comic.
Marvel canceled the Luke Cage comic and the show in the same year.
God damn.
They were just like,
there's like, we got Black Panther. we got one.
And the comic was so good, and they were just like, nah.
Like, we got one. We got one. Y'all don't need more.
And then season 2 of the show ended so well, and then they were like, all right, nah. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's time for the cause. It's time for the cause. We rate and review films not based on how much we like them, but whether or not they had the cause of more leading, help the cause of more leading black actors in Hollywood. If we think the film fully helps the cause, we give it a black fist. If we think it somewhat helped the cause, we give it a white palm. If we think this movie didn't help the cause at all, we don't give it anything. Okay, so it's not based on how much we liked it. It's about the cause. In that case,
everybody stop playing games. I got 2 fists in the air already.
Okay, fine. We got 3 black fists.
Yup.
My fist is up.
Yup. And you know what? The fists, they making the X for that BX, baby. Okay?
Respect.
Welcome to the down Bronx.
Hey, uptown, baby.
Yeah, I think we've all
baby.
been telling you this whole time we love this movie. I think Braylock is right. I don't think Netflix is promoting this movie like that. And so if you listen to this podcast, I really want you to watch this shit. I'm about to start tweeting at Ozzy and Netflix because I feel like I want people to know this movie fucking exists because I think these actors are great. I think the story is great. I want them to get a sequel. I want to see werewolves versus the Bronx, zombies versus the Bronx. I want to see it, dog. So I love everything about it. Fists all day.
Yeah. You know, I gave it 2. You know, I gave it 2 black fists because this movie is dope as hell. Okay. POC director, POC writer, POC's all up in the cast.
In the cast.
That's it.
Yeah, I gave it a fist because I feel what? Obviously, this movie is exactly the thing that we asked for. Is like you have a movie where you get to have this fun stuff. You have a POC cast. It's not just about black. It's not just for black people. It's not just about stereotypical black things, but it's dealing with real issues, you know, that these communities face, and gets to have fun while doing it. Isn't like beating you over the head or, you know, just showing you black suffering, and so you feel bad, and you know, I don't know, whatever. This movie was great, and these kids, I mean, I hope they get more stuff, man. I really do hope this becomes like a little Netflix movie franchise. I don't know if they do that stuff, but they should. This would be a great to have werewolves versus the Bronx, or you know, that it would be awesome. That would be so cool.
Sincerely, I would love it.
Hell yeah! Could you imagine that?
Hell yeah.
Werewolf the Bronx, or did they take it to Brooklyn? Be like, yo, you know, zombies versus Brooklyn. I don't care. Just give me more brown kids fighting off creatures.
Yeah, man. So yeah, 3 Black Fists. Thank you guys so much for listening. You could follow us at Black Men Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. BlackmenPodcast.com is our website where you find links to our defunct Patreon that does have a year's worth of episodes on it. So if you've never listened to it, shoot, $5 a month for as long as you want. You can listen. And also, links to our merch. We have shirts and stuff. We got a Hancock shirt. Is Hancock a good movie? We got Exceptional Negro. Hancock.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh wow, James.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. I'm not talking about this. You said no. You said no bits.
I don't do bits. I don't do bits anymore. I don't even know what that is. You said it.
All right. We also have Forever Dog Plus. If you would love to listen to all your favorite Forever Dog podcasts like ours with no ads, completely ad-free, head on over to foreverdogpodcast.com/plus. Sign up for that. And last but not least, if you rate us 5 stars on iTunes, we'll read your reviews on the air, which I'm going to do now. This one is by... This one is All the Red 2020 Antidote. Listening to the replay of the Black Panther review and hearing the palpable joy in their voices as they discuss the movie, and growing up with the comic was a much needed bright spot in an otherwise terrible week. I've listened to the show for years, and it never fails to provide smart, funny, and insightful commentary on the film industry. This show has changed how I see movies and all entertainment, and I'm forever grateful for it. Oh, that was really sweet.
Oh, I like that. You. I dig that. That was a nice one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. To listen to this podcast ad-free, sign up for Forever Dog Plus at foreverdogpodcasts.com/plus. Check out video clips of our podcasts on YouTube at youtube.com/foreverdogteam. And make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Forever Dog Team to keep up with all of the latest Forever Dog news.